seek recognition.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House suspend the rules and agree to House Resolution 129, condemning the government of Saudi Arabia's continued detention and alleged abuse of women's rights activists as amended.
The clerk will report the title of the resolution.
House Resolution 129, resolution condemning the government of Saudi Arabia's continued detention and alleged abuse of women's rights activists.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from New York, Mr. Engel, and the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Wilson, each will control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from New York.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members of 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on House Resolution 129.
Without objection, so ordered.
I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me also thank Representatives Frankel and Wagner for their leadership in bringing this measure forward. The treatment of women's rights activists in Saudi Arabia, their unjust imprisonment, is a serious problem. Since May 2018, the government of Saudi Arabia has arrested prominent women's rights advocates and imposed travel bans on numerous others. Many of them are longtime supporters of ending the ban on a woman driving and abolishing the male guardianship system. At least 10 women's rights activists have been subjected to psychological and physical abuse, including sexual violence, beatings, electric shocks, and sleep deprivation. The State Department reported in 2018 that, quote, women continue to face significant discrimination under law and custom, and many remain uninformed about their rights. And, quote, women also face discrimination in courts, where in the most cases the testimony of one man equals that of 2 women. Earlier this year, Saudi Arabia temporarily released 4 women's activists. This is a step in the right direction, but not nearly enough. Mr. Speaker, American foreign policy is at its best when we put our values at the center of everything we do. And when a partner country like Saudi Arabia tramples on human rights, it's incumbent on us to speak out, just as we would do with respect to a nation hostile to the United States. And with this resolution, we're sending a clear message. It condemns the government of Saudi Arabia's continued detention of these activists. It also urges an end to the male guardianship system and calls on the United States government to designate the perpetrators of serious human rights violations under the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act. We must continue to call on the Saudi government to release these women immediately. I strongly support this resolution, and I urge my colleagues to do the same. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. From South Carolina.
I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in strong support of House Resolution 129, condemning the government of Saudi Arabia's